So it's my pleasure to be here with the fantastic Reema Gainley, and I'm really excited about this chat today because Reema has done something that so many people I think want to do in their lives, and maybe get scared about it, or you think, how can I possibly set up a recruitment business having no recruitment experience? And Reema's not only done that, coming from industry and setting up a really successful recruitment business, but she's also set the business up so she works part-time and she has virtual workers. And I know there's a load of people suddenly, as times change within the world of recruitment, they're like, how does that work? Is it possible for me? And how can I do that and get balance and also manage my family life and business life and have success in both? So I'm really excited, and thank you so much for being with us today, Reema. So can you just tell me just what do you do and like how your business works? We've got a bit of background on you.
Sure, thank you for such a fantastic intro, Nikki. Really happy to be here. So I'm the MD and founder of a specialist recruitment business for the digital and tech industry. My whole team and I have been working previously either for digital companies, management consultancies, software houses. So we've all made the shift from industry to recruitment, and for me it's really important coming from industry to be able to deliver a consultative, meaningful service to the clients that we work with, and we work by offering them a retained service model whereby we really get under the skin of their requirements, their hiring challenges, working with them and doing that hand-holding for them, whereby we understand the kind of candidates that they're looking for, we challenge their requirements effectively, and we work through a quite clear 5-step process to help them get the sought-after candidates that they need to help take their businesses to the next level, because we're consistently working with companies that are changing very quickly, and as a result of that they really require highly technical individuals that can also really relate easily to their clients. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's
brilliant. Fantastic. And you originally come from industry, so what even like how come you then got into and set up a recruitment business? How did that happen?
Well, part of it was I'd like to say that it was a really well thought out decision, but the reality is I'd left my job. I had a little baby with me, so my son was only 6 months at the time. My husband works in the tech industry. He'd been a contractor, and we quickly realised that one of us needed to have the permanent job to keep the money coming in. And as he wasn't finding work, I really felt like the recruitment industry had provided a great opportunity for flexible working and being able to still provide a high quality service whilst working remotely. And the more I spoke to people about it, having worked in industry, having used recruitment companies, effectively having dealt with good ones and bad ones during my time in industry, having been a hiring manager myself and going through all those pain points that hiring managers go through when they're hiring and when they're building out technical teams and commercial teams, I really felt like my experience could add a lot of value, and I could still create that offering whilst not having to travel extensively around the world like I was doing in my previous role.
So interestingly, so you're doing a lot of travel before, and when you have a little person then relies on you, everything changes really, doesn't it, in your world? So how did you set the business up then from that standing start, also with this little person?
Yeah. So it was just me to begin with, and I was literally just testing out the waters. So using my existing network, helping clients hire for the kind of roles that I'd worked on before. And I started out small. So I really made a conscious effort to try and understand the pain points of the the clients that I'd already had previous relationships with from my previous role. And I just started out doing it a couple of days a week, or in the evenings when my baby was sleeping, or when he was having his afternoon nap. And I just started testing it out, and I kept setting myself little goals of like, okay, so if I close this deal, then I'll keep going. If I close this deal, I'll keep on going. And it was literally just like that to begin with. And then things slowly started clicking into place, and that's when that really gave me the confidence. And clients were happy with the service that I was providing too, with the quality of candidates that were coming through. Candidates were happy with the service that they were really receiving. So through starting out, with those small steps, it gave me confidence to start building it out as a proper business.
And then what was it that gave you the idea to actually then hire other fellow, part-time ex-industry mothers? Like, how did that come about?
I was, as a new mum, I was regularly just having conversations with other mums that had been leaving the city because they weren't getting the flexibility they wanted in their jobs, or they certainly couldn't go back to maybe some of those senior positions that they were doing before. So essentially people that had found themselves in this not too dissimilar situation to myself, whereby they didn't want those long hours and the company culture that maybe wasn't as accommodating for a new mum. Yet these women were highly, and not just women, but men as well, were still really dedicated to doing the absolute best job that they could do while still working flexibly. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. With the use of technology now, you can give so much to clients. I mean, we interviewed candidates through video. We meet senior candidates where we still can as part of our service. But a lot of the work that we carry out, and even as our team has grown, we work really effectively through just communicating on video calls and working remotely, because that's the environment that keeps the staff happiest. They like the fact that they can log on, do their work, and yet log off and just be picking their child up from school within sort of 5 minutes of turning their laptop off.
So you've inadvertently, and this is such a powerful approach you've taken, hired absolute experts from industry who know everything about industry. Maybe don't know the recruitment process, but they can learn how to do that. And but you know, look at the year's worth of skills, expertise, teach that. In a space of 6 months or a year, they're coming to knowledge and also the right skill set. And I think so many recruitment businesses, amazing pool of brilliant talent that is mums who want to work part-time, but the reason why I think a lot of companies struggle is they're still working, for example, the 360 model. And we're going to come on to that in a minute, because you've also, the way that you've set your business up is using a totally different model, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
So you've been so just walk me through. So you started off with yourself. So how did you decide who to hire next, and what was the hire that you made next?
So I hired someone to help support me on searching for the right candidates, and to support me on headhunting candidates for clients. And what I quickly found with that person, initially she just came on board again working part-time to support me. She's an ex-management consultant, so she'd been a hiring manager herself. Someone with a computer science degree as well, so she easily understood and could relate to the candidates, and she still works with me, so she can really easily relate to the candidates and the challenges that they face as they grow their career and as they plan their career. So while she initially joined to help me with search, it became really evident to me that she's absolutely fantastic at that whole candidate experience journey. And it was quite timely because a few months after she joined, I became part of Rocket, and I learned that actually, instead of trying to find the 360-degree skill set in one person and getting them to service that entire recruitment cycle effectively by themselves, it would be far easier to adopt what we've learned now is the 120 model, whereby I can hire people with specific skill sets to perform really effectively, and then provide that a really excellent quality service all around to the clients. So then that really inspired me and made clear to me in my mind of how to then build out the rest of the team, and I did it using that model. So we now have a search team, a candidate delivery team, and a business development team, whereby we can hire people that have the skills doing what they love.
And so you've actually got people what we call sort of working in flow, but they'll only do like a third of the 360, but they're able to do that absolutely excellently, and they're able to do that time to do it properly rather than sort of skating across. Right. Maybe just. And so, you know, with that new model, like, what difference does that make for people that you've been able to hire versus what you would have hired in if you've been using the old 360?
I think that when you're coming into the market that you haven't got experience of, it can sometimes be natural to look a bit too much at what the competitors are doing and the 360 model and think that that's how you should do it. And what I love about having the 120 model is that it fits in with my with something that's really core to my belief that of the flexible working and being able to provide that to working parents, or it's not always parents, anyone that's looking for that work-life balance, yet they still want to earn good money as well. And in the recruitment industry, there's certainly scope to do that. So I think, just echoing what you said, I can hire people now that can stay more focused on the particular job that they're doing. And therefore, because they're loving more of what they do, it naturally impacts on the results that they bring in. So collectively as a team, we're actually able to make more placements, we're able to service clients better, and we're able to have happier clients and candidates through working a more specialist model.
And which is fantastic. I mean, because full about is delivering absolutely excellent service to your candidates and to your clients, having a productive, happy team that are well-balanced. And what happens though if, so say for example, one of your team are working 3 days a week, and a client or a candidate phones when it's one of their days off with the kids. How do you manage that? So
I think the advantage of having a team whereby we've hired from industry and they've had actual exposure to running teams or even interviewing themselves as hiring managers is that it's quite easy to have them pick up when someone is off sick. So for example, or on holiday. So for example, at the moment it's school summer holidays. So we've got our candidate experience lady on holiday, but while she's away, our business development person will pick up on things. So everyone has visibility of what's going on within our clients by working a 120 model. Everyone's in the loop through each stage of the process and what's happening with that client. We even present ourselves as a team of 3 to each of our clients, and we're very clear with them and our candidates up front with how we're going to lead them through their journey successfully. So therefore, it's not an issue when someone's working part-time and someone else needs to fill them in. And I think what's really key as well is making sure that we have a compensation model that works really well for everybody. So you haven't got infighting amongst the team. And by working with Rocket, that's really given us, it's given us a really great base on which to build the entire sales process. and commissions.
So that's my next question is, because what we're doing fundamentally is ripping up the way that recruitment's been done for years and years, tens of years, and the commission structure that's been set up. It's also saying, right, we're going to rip that up and set up a new. So could you, without going into too much detail, like how have you set up the commission structure so that it's equal for everybody?
So we have the business development person, the candidate delivery person compensated the same percentages effectively, so 50-50 split on the value of the fee that we get from the client, and then search are compensated on essentially a fixed fee basis as well, depending on the successful CVs that they're getting accepted by the client. So
and fundamentally, because it's a team effort, you can only get the results if the team contribute together. So it works both ways. That's fantastic. Now, one of the things that you've also managed to do is it was almost like replace yourself. So like initially you were doing pretty much all the sales and then feeling that off to the team, so how did you decide to make that transition, and how have you made that transition?
I think it's work in progress. So I think absolute key for us has been clarity in processes and communicating that really clearly to the team. So having very clear, simple KPIs across the board. So each member of the team knows exactly what it is that they're accountable for. And just having an effective way to communicate around that, review exactly what jobs we've got coming in, what we're working on, so that it just becomes easier to manage for me as a business owner across the board. I mean, I still dip in and out of things depending on how busy we get. So if more of my attention is required on candidate delivery once we've got a whole stream of jobs coming in, then I'll do that. Once we need more focus on BD, I'll help with that. But it allows me to just support the three key teams wherever they need most as the business keeps growing and changing on a weekly basis.
Yes. And just from your experience, how much had Rocket, what information were you able to get from Rocket that perhaps you didn't have before with that?
So for me, as someone completely new to running a recruitment company, I would say it's been invaluable for my business, because it's given me know-how of what doesn't work effectively in the recruitment industry. It's given me good knowledge of the pitfalls that I can completely avoid as I'm growing my business. And essentially, it's given me a blueprint on which to create a successful business, and that's just been fantastic for me, because otherwise that would have taken me a lot of research, a lot more trial and error. And what's been really great is I've got to communicate on a weekly basis with other recruitment business owners as well, to understand their challenges or what's not working for them, and everyone's been extremely supportive. It's a great place for us to collaborate as well and share information and resource as well. So that's just really accelerated my learning, and that's, I can't put sort of value on it. It's been fantastic.
Well, that's good to know, and I think that's one of the things is, I learned this a long time ago, that if ever you want to achieve something, find somebody who's done it and then just copy what they've been doing, model that success, and and then your success will happen much quicker. So that's really good to know. But the other thing that you've done, there's so many, because we have a lot of people who come through the program, and a lot of people who see significant shifts. There's some who don't see many at all, and it all comes down to fundamentally you and what you implement. And you spoke right at the beginning that you're doing retained work now. So how did you land your first sort of high paid retainer? Because also you've increased your fees significantly as well, sort of since starting with us. So yeah, how do you land that first key retainer?
Well, for us, I think we started out just saying yes to any old job, which I think a lot of startup recruitment companies probably do. I'm making a big assumption here, but that's certainly what I was doing. And to land our first retainer, it was really important, that realization on the importance of niching was key, and identifying our what Rocket call the avatar clients, and the key gold jobs, which again is another fantastic game changer, which just has changed everything in the business for us. So aligning those two things and matching them up, and giving us the clarity then on exactly what kind of clients to approach, what their pain points specifically are, and then approaching them based on how we can actually help them get the results that they need within their development teams and within their business strategically. Just gave us so much more ammunition to successfully pitch our value offering more clearly than we were perhaps doing before. And it also gave me the confidence to do it as well, actually, to realise the value of our skill sets, the value of our experience. It was great for me to get experience from the recruitment industry, that actually we have been doing so many things right as well. And there's a lot more value we can add, given that we are not from the recruitment industry directly. So yeah, that was a great sort of aha moment for me.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of the things where so many people come into us, and we say, the people that we work with are like within the top 2% of recruiters. Like, you really are world class, but so many of our clients will totally undervalue, have no idea the value of their service. They'll be charging 10, 12, 15% fees, but also they don't really understand what their unique ability is. And that's something that I remember when we did the session with you, you were like, oh my God, I had no idea about actually the value of me and my knowledge and the unique ability, and actually the difference that makes to my clients. And just because you're it's like a fish, a fish doesn't realize it's in water because that's the environment that it's grown up in. Similar with you, like, just such a valuable asset just with who you are. And it's then how, but the thing is then it's how do I package that up so then when I'm talking to a client, I can then communicate that in a really effective and concise way so that they see the value, but it's then easy for me to then replicate with my team. And so then when I'm looking at sort of cloning myself, how I can replicate that process. And the thing about you, Reema, is you literally just taken what we've sort of given you and you go, right, okay, I will implement that, but adding in your amazing uniqueness to that, and the results that you've seen as fantastic in it, but you deserve every bit of those results. So just sort of in terms of like, what would you say to people who are sort of potentially looking at changing their model from 360? There's quite a lot of people who would love to have part-time workers and have that flexibility of working, but they're scared because it's like, how do I manage that person if they're not in the office? Who do I pick? But also, if I move away from 360, how do I communicate that? How does it work if we're changing the commission structure? So what would you say to people who are having these type of internal battles with themselves?
I would say start small and give it a go. I think that it's a case of nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, if they're worrying about should they employ someone part-time, what's the worst that could happen? Give it a go, give someone a chance. From my experience, I've certainly seen that from adopting a more flexible working model, and it's not just my business, there are thousands of businesses opening up more and more to flexible working. Many big companies are leading the way, certainly in the technology industry, where it's becoming more and more prevalent and an essential requirement particularly for the senior candidates that we hire for. And people don't just work for the money. So people will be drawn into your business for your values as much as they'll be drawn in for their career progression, and each person is different. So I think that you can actually, certainly what I found is I get a lot more, trying to think of the right word here. I think the people that work for me certainly see value in working for a business that offers flexibility, and they are motivated by the flexibility. So I think that's an important consideration. And because they're motivated, they will deliver.
Yes. And it's interesting because we have our business setup is very similar to yours. We have part-time working, and what we find is people actually will achieve more than they would do in 3 days than they would if they're working full-time.
That's exactly.
And just because you've got a limited amount of time, so you don't do all the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. You can only focus on the business critical or the most important stuff, and just it makes everybody more effective. But fundamentally, well, you and I know you don't need to work full time to have a very, very successful business.
Yes.
So brilliant. And in terms of sort of any parting shots or anything else you'd like to share with anyone that has made a difference for you, or that for people to be aware of, any other gems?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that as a business owner or a recruitment business leader, for me, and I would say to them that Rocket is not just I mentioned that it was a blueprint to help me grow my business. It's a lot more than that. So for me, it's actually been more of a transformational program for my own leadership and for my own journey as an entrepreneur, and as a mother, and actually for my whole kind of life. It sounds a bit extreme, but I think when you're coming out, especially from just having recently had a baby, I've got two children now. So actually, when I joined Rocket, my second child was quite young still. So it's really helped me get clarity in terms of what it is that I want, in terms of my whole kind of life goal and direction, how I want my business to work, what core values are important to me, and therefore are an absolute must to be reflected in the business and to the clients and to the candidates and everybody that we serve in that world of mine. And what I love about Rocket is that it's provided me with a lot of support, a lot of additional support around various readings and various tools that I can actually use to improve myself and then subsequently my team members, professionally as well as personally, to act as the motivation which then will convert into the success that we're all looking for, at the happiness level that we're all looking for. And I just absolutely love that. So I think that you can't underestimate that at all about Rocket, and unless you try it, you won't ever know what that is like. So yeah, I think that's a big, huge, pleasant surprise for me.
It's an interesting one too, actually, because I think because we've come at it from a heart-centered place, where actually fundamentally we just want people to be happy, but intrinsically feel like aligned, feel happy, and have that balance, and and know that you can have all of that. You can have abundance, you can have wealth, you can have happiness, you can have joy. It's just about how you structure it and actually who you need to become, so you can allow it in as well. And I'm so pleased to hear that, because that's our main driver for it, because we know what it's been like when it's highly stressed, anxious, worrying about cash, and it's a survival type mode. And then there's the polar opposites, which everybody can have, but you need to change yourself first to get that, before you're then putting in the structures and the processes and the stuff to implement. That's awesome. And so Reema, my last question for you is so you've seen a lot of growth within the business, like in terms of obviously monetary growth, team growth. What's your long-term vision for the business?
Oh, my long-term vision for the business is just to, it really just comes from my heart that we're just there to give our absolute best in everything that we do. So the long-term goal for the business, I've got actually a clear 5-year plan now on exactly what I want it to look like, year on year, the growth that I want to see, how that's going to be achieved. I've got a really highly skilled team, and it's given me the confidence to make sure that I continue down that path as well. So my vision is to build the business focused on that technical niche that I spoke about previously across senior and strategic technical and digital hires for UK, Europe, and the US as well. So, and that's across permanent and contract. So it's certainly given me the that driving force to think and dream big, and actually give me a plan, or help me create a plan on how I can realistically get there. So that's the plan.
That's awesome. So big dream with balance, and and being able to spend time with those people who are most special to you.
Yes,
that's awesome. Reema, honestly, you are truly an inspiration, certainly to me, and I know to many others in the group. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing this with us today. It's been fantastic.
Oh, likewise, Nikki, you're too humble. You're an inspiration too. Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. So if anybody wants our help, or they just want to have a chat with us about potentially how we can help you to change, your life, become more happier, become more productive, become more balanced, then will be a link which we're going to post below this video, just to apply for our Profit Accelerator strategy call. And this is where we will, with you, deep dive into your business, look at what's working, what's not working, and help you then walk away with a step-by-step plan of what you can do to either speed up your results or to change results spectacularly. So there's, it's a really value-add session. So, and if we feel we can help you to speed up the results, we'll let you know that. If we can't, then we'll point you in the right direction. So there's absolutely no obligation to do anything. It's really there to help you. And Reema, I've just seen a comment from Katie's just put in, you're an inspiration to others, Reema. I hope people who are watching this and questioning whether they can achieve the same are taking inspiration from you and know what's possible.
Oh,
so
thanks.
So cool. All right. Well, if you've got any other questions from having watched this, please type in the box below, and we will be happy to answer your thoughts soon. All right, Reema, have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, you too, Nikki.
Cheerio. Bye, guys.
Bye.